What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JB, and we are here today with a review for The Oval on BET Season 3, Episode 15, and the episode is titled Wicked, you guys. So, before we jump into this review, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys are not subscribed to the channel, then I'm gonna need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. Do me that favor by liking the video, you guys, turning your notifications on, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that, you guys, out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss the Oval, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode we pick up where we left off, and that is with Brick in the police station with Kareem with the gloves on his hand, right? And Kareem is asking him like, yo, bro, what you doing? I'm thinking to myself like, bro, he's trying to, take you out, but go for it. It was just the fact that he kept saying, what are you doing? Brick would go for his nose, move back, go for his nose, move back. I'm like, what the is going on here, right? So then, Brick asked Kareem, so what happened with your girlfriend? He says, oh, I don't want to talk at this point, right? I made a mistake. Then he says, I was smoking, he said, what were you smoking? Smoking weed. So does smoking weed make you delusional? Yes. I mean, no. Which one is it? Kareem, when he came into the interrogation room, you looked at him, right? And in that instance, you should have realized, wait a minute, this isn't the police chief, because guess what? He doesn't have a badge on him. So, yeah. I wouldn't have said anything at that point, but hey, Kareem went on ahead and talked to right. So then Kareem got up and he tried to make a run for it, right? But when Kareem tried to make a run for it, Brick grabbed him and Brick put him in a chokehold and put him to sleep. I was like, oh wow. When you look at Brick looks like he weighs about 150 pounds. And he looks like he's about, what, 5'8", maybe? And Kareem looks like he's about 6 foot tall, and he looks like he's about 180, maybe 190 pounds. You mean to tell me you can't take this man? Although Brick is Secret Service, but Brick doesn't give me Secret Service. That's neither here nor there, right? So then we move over and we see Sam. So Sam went to go check on Kyle, right? So Kyle is telling Sam, like, yo, Sam, I gotta take my medications. He's like, what medications do you have to take? Because that's not in your file. And he never answered, what medications he has to take, right? So then he tells him, like, that they're looking for me. He's like, who? You talking about the chief of staff? He's like, yes. He's like, if they were really looking for you, I couldn't tell, basically, is what he was saying, right? So then they have this long dialogue about, it just, for me, sometimes it's just the dialogue that kills me with Tyler Perry shows, just be the dialogue. And that's really what it be for me, the dialogue. So then we move over. We see Eli and we see his wife, whose name I just learned in this episode. Her name is Sloan, right? So you guys remember the last episode that Sloan came and told Eli, let's go to bed, so he was supposed to come to bed. Then she goes out and sees him once again and he's having a drink. She said, you're having a drink? She says, are you still getting phone calls? He says, no, I'm not getting phone calls. He says, what it is, he's turned his phone off, right? But what he's doing now is he's wondering if, this stuff that he's done, if he did the right thing. She says, oh no, we did this for the good of the country, right? So then, he's thinking about what Victoria said to the press about the fact that Jason is the one who, unlived Denise and Diane, right? That one has nothing to do with him. Denise does, right? But Sloan is saying that, the DNA on the bed matches Hunter's and Denise, which that is true, right? But Hunter and Denise had finished having sex, and then Jason came in, got the sword, and chopped her neck off. So then, they're trying to find witnesses. They need more witnesses, right? So if Jason can come too, and what they're going to do is they're going to put FBI around him. I'm like, huh? But they need more witnesses, right? And then she's like, where's, the first daughter at, right? If we can find her, maybe she can be a witness as well. I was like, Actually, you know what? We know that Gail would definitely testify against her parents because we all know that Gail hates her mother and her father. More specifically, Victoria. But yeah, we'll move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, we see Sam. So you guys remember in the last episode that Sam was at the crib, right? And Priscilla told him to leave, and Sam was like, "He's not leaving. He's staying," right? And you know, remember Priscilla was warning him, like, "Sam, if you stay here, it ain't gonna be pretty, right?" So Sam was laying in the bed, right? So Priscilla comes upstairs. She got this pot, this big, huge pot in her hand, right? And she got towels, right? I'm like, oh. So she put some boiling hot water in there. She was finna come in there and douse Sam in that. Ooh, damn. So she tells him, "Sam, get your shit and get out," right? And he's like, "Priscilla, I'm sorry, baby. It wasn't you. It was me. I'm sorry. I love you." So she's telling him, "Sam, respect my wishes and get out," right? Here's another scene where we just had repetitive dialogue. So that's it with that scene, right? He eventually got his shit and got out. So then we see Victoria. So Victoria's over at the hospital, right? And you guys remember, Victoria is at the hospital because she has to play the, you know, the empathetic mother, the sympathy-ridden mother because her son, you know, attempted to take his life, right? So Victoria's sitting there, she's like, "Shit." And Hunter's like, "What?" She's like, "How long have I been sitting here?" She says, "About 45 minutes. She's like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Damn, you can't, I mean, you carried him for, well, we assume you carried him, right? You could have did surrogacy, you could have did in vitro, but damn, but to our knowledge, you carried Jason for 9 to 10 months, and you feel this way about him, right?" So she asked Hunter, like, "What are you gonna do about Eli?" Hunter has this elaborate plan that Eli has a trip that's coming up, like a ski trip or something like that, and he wants to take his plane down. I was actually with Victoria in this situation. I was like, his plane? Like, Hunter, you're an idiot. Because this man just came out to the press and said that you are the one who, you and your wife are behind the murders of women in the White House, right? Denise, Diane. And I'm pretty sure people start sniffing around, they'll say Jean, right? But you want to take him out on the plane, make it look like an accident. Anybody with common sense would know, okay, he went on a trip. His plane had malfunctioning issues, right? Okay, Hunter, I guess, you know, still stupid because people would then think like, did the president of the United States have anything to do with this? Hunter is stupid. But we're gonna move forward, you guys. All right, you guys, so next up we see Nancy and Richard. So Nancy and Richard, they're in bed, right? So then there's a knock at the door, right? So they go, so Nancy woke up Richard, she woke Richard up, and then Barry was woken up, right? So they go to the back door. I'm like, the back door? And then there was the way that Sam was knocking. I'm like, "Sam, you knocking like you the goddamn police, right?" But it's Sam at the door, right? So Sam comes in, and you know, Barry and Nancy, they went back to bed, right? So it just was Sam and Richard talking, right? So Sam tells Richard that, "Hey, Priscilla, she put me out the house," right? So then they start talking about Callie, right? And you know, Barry comes in and wanted to know what's going on. So Richard's like, "You know, your Uncle Sam got this," right? He says, "So what's going on, Uncle Sam?" So Sam says that, you know, the FBI, they do have someone on the inside of the Rackadoochies, right? And again, you guys, I say I'm gonna watch Ruthless, but I never get around to it, right? I'm just not the type to binge watch shows. That's not my forte. But so the Rackadoochies, now you guys can let me know in the comment section. It wouldn't be a spoiler because they've already said it on the show. So the Rackadoochies, on top of them being a cult, they also involve they're involved with drugs. What the hell kind of cult is that? They got double eyes on them, right? If they're a cult and they got drugs, and then we'll talk about this in just a minute, but wow, they got a lot of shit going on for him, right? But he says, that Callie is safe, right? He says, how do you know that she's safe? And Sam says that they protect, the girls around her, the kids around her age. And he was like, what does that mean? And at first I was like, yeah, what does that mean that they protect the kids around her age? But I soon put two and two together what they were saying. So they have that's a moral code, because Callie is 8 years old, right? But they protect them up until they're 10. And I'm like, 10 years old. And in most cases, it could be late. It could be a little bit earlier, or it could be at 10. But from what I was gathering from that, I'm like, so they protect them until they hit puberty? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I was getting. I'm like, so they protect them until they hit puberty. And Sam was like, we'll get her out of there before her 9th birthday. He said she's 8. He said exactly. So that's what I was thinking, like, so they protect them until they're 10, because I was like 10 years old. I remember when I was 10, that's when I started going through puberty. So I'm like, is that, ew. Child, that's just nasty. But we gonna move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, let's talk about Alan. So Alan, we see him at the White House, right? So he's talking to, now here's Alonzo. I say, where's Alonzo at? But Alonzo was with Alan before he went back to the White House. So I guess this is Alonzo's relief, whose name we don't know, right? But Alan is saying that, Donald asked him to come back to the White House, right? Now, he had this black box in his hand, right? And he put his stuff on the conveyor to, wheel it through. So the guy's not gonna ask him like, hey, yeah, you want to put, you need to put that box right here, right? Like, that scene right there made no sense to me. He has a big ass black box. He didn't put it on a conveyor so it can go through and read it, right? You didn't say anything to him. Now, when he put his badge on there, he had an issue with his badge, and that is what allowed him to sneak the black box in. And I'm just thinking to myself, that is the White House. That is the White House. So you see this man with a black box. You're not gonna say to him, hey, slide that through too, so I can see what's on there. So I can see what's in that box. Okay. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess. So then we move over and we see Brick, right? So Brick calls Donald up, and Brick says, that situation with Kareem, very much so legit, right? So then Brick says, what do you want me to do with him? He says, bring him to me. So then he asks him, have you heard anything from Kyle? Have you been able to track Kyle? He says, I haven't found Kyle. Can't trace Kyle. Can't do anything involving Kyle, right? So they hang up the phone. So then Victoria comes back in, right? So Victoria is asking Donald, where's the press at? He says, downstairs, right? So she's like, well, what I want you to do is take me by the press, but I want someone to hold me up, right? So that she can, pretend that she is this grief-stricken mother, right? Then she's like, I need to wear some flats because, these high heels, they're not gonna be a good look. She's like, he's the one that did this to himself. Why should I sacrifice? So don't worry about it. So then Donald goes into the room where Hunter is, right? Hunter is asking Donald about a nurse with a fat ass. And I'm like, here we go with this shit. I really hope and pray that nurse is not a black woman. I hope and pray she's not a black woman. But when he said a fat ass, I'm like, it's got to be one. Tyler, don't cast her. Please. I don't want to see another black woman objectified by Hunter. That I ask of you. So then, Donald tells him about Kareem, right? So he wants him to be brought to him. I'm like, okay. So then Hunter once again tells Donald this plan about Eli. He wants to do him like Pablo Escobar. I was like, what? Again, going with what I said earlier, Hunter doesn't think shit through. Hunter's an idiot. All right, you guys, so let's see. We're going to pause here and we're going to wrap up, you guys. All right, you guys, so next up we see Alan. So Alan is in his office, right? And Alan, I mean, that is a big, huge ass box. Like, I'm just still stuck on this box. It's not like it's a little bitty box. It is a huge box, like a shoe box, right? And I'm just still tripping off of the guy at the front desk, not even making him put that thing on, making him check that box. But, okay. So Alan is putting the gun in his desk, right? And then once he does that, he goes into Donald's office and he starts snooping through Donald's things. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what is he going through Donald's stuff for? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, I'm not the writer on this show, so whatever. So then we see Max and Bobby, right? So Max is still fixated and focused on Kyle. He's trying to figure out where, Sam is holding Kyle at. He's trying to work on their clearance. Now, I do have a question about Bobby. Why did Bobby put the gun to, Max's head? Like, what was the purpose in that? Did anybody understand that? Because I didn't. But, so yeah. I really want Max to let go of this whole fixation with Kyle. I know Kyle's a piece of shit, and I know Kyle has done some shit to you. But let it go. Let it go. So then we see Sharon. So Sharon is talking to, oh boy, what is his name? Dale. And they're talking about Kareem, right? She's worried about Kareem because she hasn't heard from Kareem. She believes that Kareem went back to the pharmacy, right? But Dale is like, what if he went to the cops? She's like, he wouldn't do that. You think he wouldn't, right? And Dale's like, you know what? We probably shouldn't have told him. A little bit too late for that one, right? So she calls him again. No answer, right? He says that, I hope he didn't go to the cops because, they have the cops in their back pocket, right? Because Kyle told me that, if we would call the cops, they would be right there to alert them. So I hope for his sake, he didn't go to the cops. But unfortunately, he went to the cops, right? So then we see Kareem. So he's in the back of, this truck with Brick, right? So he wakes up. He's talking to Brick. He's like, you know what, man? I'm sorry. Like, I ain't gonna say nothing. Like, I'm sorry. And Brick was like, please stop saying you're sorry because it's only gonna be worse from there, right? So then we see Brick. He gets out the car. He calls Donald. He tells Donald, like, yay, we here. So then we see, Hunter and Donald. They walk into the garage, right? Hunter hops into the car. Hunter says, he says, you've been looking for me? Well, here I am, basically. He's like, who is this? So he takes the nigga up at his head, right? He was like, Hunter Franklin. I'm the president of the United States, right? I was like, okay, Hunter, whatever. You're not scary at all. But hey, that's the Oval, you guys. Please let me know what you guys thought about it. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on, you guys. Share the video. And until the next one, stay safe out there, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Remember, wash your hands. Wear a mask, you guys. Socially distance. Be blessed. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.